Inspire is actually quite powerful when it comes to this kind of thing, using two rail sweeps, being able to use a shape creation, using our sheets feature.
Hi, my name is Alain and I'm very happy to participate in the Vectric user group meeting. For the occasion, I'm going to show you how you can also make a turtle like this one. But first of all, let me introduce myself. I on the woodpecker this time. I on the woodpecker today. I'm fixing this rocking chair. Hi on the woodpecker today. I finished my tool rack. Hi on the woodpecker today. 'Tis the season to make wooden padlocks. In 2011, I saw there was a need for a French language YouTube channel about woodworking. So I created one called Le Gosse de Bois and The Woodpecker in English. Since then, I have been producing my videos in both French and English, which are the two official languages in Canada. On my channel, you can find videos about several subjects, from very small projects to furniture to the construction of my shop. In between, you can also find several episodes where I use my CNC. I even made my own CNC from an old CMM. And I'm going to use this CNC to show you how to make this turtle. The first thing to do is to find a model. For this, I use Thingiverse. I select this one because it has all that I want, shapes and details. But it's impossible to make it without cutting it into 6 parts. For this, I use 3D Builder that comes with Windows 10. It's quite easy. I just have to open the model I just downloaded. The turtle is just a bit too small. Since it's impossible to change the size by modifying the ratio in Aspire, I make it bigger here. Now I can split it into 6 pieces. I begin with the head. After giving the roll an angle of 75 degrees, I move the split plane to cut the head. Here, it's important to make sure nothing more than the neck will be cut, especially the claws. 3D Builder doesn't allow you to save a selected part, so I have to erase everything except the head and save it. Then I get back the turtle by pressing Ctrl-Z. After selecting only the head, I delete it and I'm left with the headless model. Then I have to repeat the same operations for cutting all the 4 feet. The only thing to take care of is to select only the foot, nothing else. This is quite important, so don't rush this part. When all the feet are cut and saved, the only part that remains to be saved is the body. At this moment, I have everything to begin the work in Aspire. So now I need to start a new file. The project will be a Rotary one with a length of 200 millimeters and a diameter of 96. I import the body and right away I have a preview for it. But it's not in the right orientation, so I give it a 90-degree rotation. That's better. All that is because the central axis must be in the center of the neck. I also have to use the interactive rotation tool and move the z-axis so it's in the center of the flat spot of the neck. Then I can import the model. Here it is. The next thing to do is to give the 0 plane an initial height. For the body, I set it to 10 millimeters. But as you can see, the model grew. It's not really what I want. To fix this, I simply change the combine mode of the body to merge. Now everything is fine. Now that the body is done,
there are more pieces to take care of. For them, I'm going to use sheets. The first thing I do is to name the first one. Then I create another one for the head. But it's way too big for such a small head. So I go into edit mode and change the length to 100 millimeters with a diameter of 35. Then with the head sheet selected, I can import the head. Just like for the body, the head has to be rotated so the central axis is in the center of the flat spot. Later on, I will have to hand carve the front of the face. This time around, after importing the head, there's no zero plane. But I really need to add one and move it under the head model. This time around, the base height is only 5 millimeters. It's natural because the head is way smaller. And just like for the body, I need to change the combine mode to merge. This goes pretty well, but I still need to repeat all the same operations for the 4 feet. They're all done the same way as the head. Create a new sheet, rename it, and import the feet. But here, there's a little difference because I have to turn the model so the central axis goes through the 2 straight parts of the model. For this, I use the XYZ option of the interactive rotation tool. The rest of the operations are all the same as the ones for the head. But it's not done yet because there are still 3 more feet to import. But it's all done the same way as the one I just made. Now that I have all the parts of the turtle, I can make the tool paths. The first thing to do is to draw a box around the model to limit the carving. I begin with a roughing pass with a 6 mm end mill and a boundary offset of 3 mm. This is what the roughing pass will look like. But I also need the finishing pass. For this one, I use a conical bit with a 1.5 diameter tip with an offset of 1.5. This is a simulation of this finishing pass. This turtle will really be special, but it's still missing 5 more parts. The next one is the head. This is quite similar to the body. I make a frame and without changing any settings, I make the roughing pass. But I left the strategy to Z level, and not a lot of wood was removed. I don't like this for such a small piece. So I changed the strategy to 3D raster. This is way better for that small part. But this is only the roughing pass. It's missing the finishing pass. For it, I don't change any settings. I leave them identical to the ones for the body. This is what the head will look like. Now it's time to repeat all the same operations for the 4 remaining feet. For them, everything is done the same way as for the head. Now that I have all the files, I can go inside the shop. The first thing to do is to prepare a piece of basswood. When it's all squared, I mark the center. This piece of wood is too big for my rotary chuck, so I have to modify one end. It also needs to be as round as possible. Yes, I can do this with my CNC, but it's faster to transform it into an octagon. Now it's time to install it on my rotary axis. And as you can see, I made it myself. And yes, this is also on my YouTube channel. When the piece of wood is in place, I check if it's okay. Since it is, I turn it to be leveled, zeroed the X and Y, change the bit for a 6mm end mill, and it's a go for the roughing pass. It takes about 40 minutes to finish the roughing pass. This is the look of it when it's done. After changing the bit for a 1.5mm diameter conical bit, I can begin the finishing pass. When I do things with a conical bit like this, I start with a slow feed rate of 1500mm per minute, or 60 inches per minute. And after a few horizontal passes, I double the speed. One thing I love about Rotary carvings is that you can see the project appearing before your eyes. This goes quite quickly, only 2 hours to complete. It's quite fast for all those small details. But it's not done yet, because there are still 5 more pieces to carve. I put a smaller piece of basswood into the chuck and carve the head. Like for the body, there's the roughing pass. When it's done, I put back the same conical bit and make the finishing pass. Even if this is quite small, it still takes 1 hour for the roughing and finishing passes. But I'm still missing the 4 legs. Here are the head and 2 feet. One had a splinter flying off, so I won't use it. After putting another piece of basswood, I can carve the rest of the feet. After a couple of hours, it's done. Here are all the parts I will need to make the turtle. But my wife would like this to be a door stopper. To do so, I will make a hole here and fill it to add some weight. But I have one small problem. The flat spot is not leveled to the table. So I make a base that makes the bottom of the turtle leveled. Before putting this on the CNC, I cut an oval to the size of my hole. With this oval, I can figure out the size of the plug I will need and cut it. Now I can free my plug from the block of basswood. Next, I screw the base to the table and make the hole. Before removing anything from the CNC, I check if the plug fits. Since both mating surfaces are tapered, it fits like a glove. I'm going to fill the hole with small pebbles. When it's full, I can glue the cap on. But it's not over yet. It needs to be assembled. For this, I need all the pieces. Here are all of them. But the parts that need to be straight are not. The most efficient way to make them straight is to use a belt sander. Now that they are all straight, I can glue them together. For that, I use instant glue because it's quite strong and there's no waiting time for it to cure. For now, I only glue the feet. Here, it's quite obvious that the bottom of the turtle is not straight, so it's time to return to the sander. Perfect! The last thing to glue is the head. All the pieces are in place, but it's not over yet, because it's time to get the carving chisels out. I begin with the 2 rotation axes. Since it's basswood, it's quite easy to carve. Next, I go over all the glue line transitions. Since this is a turtle, the chisel marks look a little bit like the texture of its skin. When I'm done with the chisels, it's time to sand a little. Now I'm ready for the last step, the paint. The very first thing I do is spray 2 coats of lacquer on the bottom. Then I hand it to my wife Renée. To have a better idea on how to paint this turtle, she printed some turtle samples. She began by brushing 2 coats of gesso. She says that the paint sticks better on it. Since she's the expert, I follow her. Yes, she painted all the Christmas ornaments that I made. She painted over 300 this year. This is only a small sample of our inventory. When the gesso is dry, she starts with the color. She begins by applying 2 coats to the shell. When it's dry, she brushes a lighter shade of brown onto the scales. Before that paint is dry, she adds more dark brown inside the cavities, and right away, with a damp brush, she mixes those colors together. This has the effect of having a lot of shades of brown. But she's not done yet, because she has to paint the rest of the turtle. Here, with 2 more shades, she simulates the skin of the turtle. I don't know where she finds all the patience to do this. When Renée is done, I bring the turtle back inside the shop and spray it with 2 coats of lacquer. When the lacquer is dry, I can clean the paint under the turtle. This is the reason why I started by spraying 2 coats of lacquer underneath. This way, it's easier to clean the excess paint. Now that it's clean, I can burn my logo and the date. There's only one more thing to do. Spray another coat of lacquer under the turtle. If you want to see this technique again, just before Christmas, I will release a video on my channel about the 2 Christmas presents I gave Renée last year. I hope you liked my presentation. You might even have learned one thing or 2. Now that you know how to make a split rotary carving, you will be able to make way more than this turtle. I wish you good luck with your future projects.